Hi everyone, this is Rue Stewart. I wanted to explain how I can use my voice to make a difference. I'm starting this GoFundMe and I wanted to explain more. I'm going to write my story, but I also wanted to talk about it. So I wrote a book recently called Great Opportunities Inside Difficulties. And in the book, I talked about some experiences I had in my life. One of them was a very serious car accident when I was 19, my freshman summer from school. And in that, I had a head injury, a closed head injury. And a couple of years later, I started having all kinds of problems and started doing some things that didn't make sense, even though I didn't realize that myself. And real impulsive decisions and some decisions that really ended up getting me into trouble. So I was incarcerated for 5 years, and I was in jail, and also went to a hospital for the criminally insane. So and then my life has changed so dramatically. I went back to, I was a fifth year sophomore in college on academic probation. After my car accident, my life went downhill. And after my head injury, but I went back to school and I got a 3.8 grade point average and was able to graduate with honors. And I went to law school and I'm a practicing lawyer now. I practice family law and all right, life. I have a wife and a home, and I have a life that I'm really beyond my wildest dreams. But one dream I have had for a long time was to go to the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard. I wanted to go before I went to law school back in 2000. Actually, when I was in law school, I went to the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard and visited it. And I took a picture by the name there, and I also went and I went around a couple times. And then about 5 years ago, and that dream's never left me. I guess I have a dream of being able to make a difference, and a dream to be a leader, and a dream to really help things. And so about 5 years ago, with that dream never leaving me, me and my wife went to Boston and we went to Harvard, and we met with someone at the Harvard Extension School, and I spoke to someone there, and I realized that's not the school for me. It's about public policy, and in all honesty, I'm 54, and I own a law firm, and it'd be hard for me to do a lot of things, and to have probably the 3.4% people that get into Harvard, it would be hard for me to compete with that, just where I am in my life and with the other responsibilities I have, and I can't go to school in person at Harvard full time because I have a family and I live in Maryland. So, but when I was in the airport, my wife at that time was going to school remotely, and I found out that they have a program at Harvard called the Harvard Extension School, where you can go and be instructed by Harvard professors that teach at all the graduate schools there, and also that it's a part of it's affiliated with all. One of the seven schools of Harvard. So, and I really didn't know that, and since then I really have been. That's been a vision of mine to go there, but once again, I do have a lot of responsibilities. So I wrote this book, and in that book, I talked about other goals I've been able to achieve in my life, and I wanted to help people. So I wrote the book, but it took me 8 years to publish the book because I didn't really care to speak about those things. The book was on my heart. I really felt led to do that, but I didn't know that my fear of the stigma of mental illness was that profound. And I never really felt that before I began to write the book because I thought that it was safely tucked away. I didn't necessarily need to tell people about that. My family knew about that. I go to 12-step groups. I did speak about it, some of my history, but I didn't really go into depth there. But I thought it was safely tucked away. But this book was really going to bring that to light. It's going to bring it to light, some of the things I did when I had untreated mental illness and addiction problems, and I didn't really care for that to come to light. And but over a 7, 8 year journey, I was able to publish my book and had some very good support from some friends of mine in my life. And I prayed about it constantly. And I feel in that journey, I really had to develop a lot of strength, courage and faith to be able to finally publish my book. So I published my book, and I started a podcast, published my book in December, and I started a podcast that sort of came out of that journey. And my book's called Great Opportunities Inside Difficulties, and Finding Faith That Works. And my podcast is called Great Opportunities Inside Difficulties. And my book was about, difficulties I've walked through in life that, having the head injury, suffering with mental illness and addiction problems, and being incarcerated was a difficulty I walked through in my life, which really I learned hope. And my book talks about, 11 characteristics of faith that I feel that I learned from walking through some of these difficulties. Some was courage, some was belief, and some was action, different things. But so I've been looking at this difficulty in being able to publish my book, and it's my fear of the stigma of mental illness. And once again, eventually it took a lot of faith, courage, and strength for me to publish that book. In my podcast recently, I was speaking about letting go of our ego and pride and the blessings that are there. And, so I have a family. For 17 years, we've had 2 incomes. And for the last 18 months, we've only had 1 income for some health reasons that we've gone through in our family. And that's strained our finances in many ways. And I do have a small law firm, actually a solo law firm, with people helping me, but I'm the only attorney, and just with only having 1 income has really strained our finances. And I've been, I've had to make some phone calls to address those things. Asking for help is a beautiful thing to do, and I don't really care to do that all the time, but I was asking for help from some places that could help us with some of the financial strain problems we've been having. And you know what, in me being able to let go of my ego and pride, I've been able to get a lot of help. And I have a law firm, and I have business, and also I'm an attorney. And lots of times our images we hold in society really aren't that I should have financial problems, but with what I was describing and just the reality of walking things out, it's not TV. I have had financial strains, especially the last 18 months. So, but I didn't really care to let go of that image, but I did in those phone calls, and I felt so free after that. For the last week after that, I was able to get so much stuff done, and really good for me to let go of thinking about myself so much, and really good for me to let go of these images that I can try to portray of myself. And I do work on myself all the time, so it's not like I'm trying to walk around being fake or trying to be somebody I'm not. But a lot of these things are really hard down deep, and I'm not the only person who struggles with trying to hold up images that I feel that I need to keep alive. And so glad I was willing to let go of those. But that was a blessing that came out of that, just the freedom I felt. At the end of these phone calls, I was just like talking to people like I was talking to a friend. And that next week I was saying I had so much freedom. I got so many things done in my life. And another blessing that came out of that was when I was making these phone calls, I had this thought, well, you could just write Harvard a letter, like a scholarship letter, and seeing if you can get a scholarship. Now, I know that doesn't seem like rocket science, or it doesn't seem like I hope I'm not sound like that much out of the woods there, but I guess normally I would just get a loan, or I would just try to borrow the money, or just think I couldn't do it. And I have contacted Harvard. I wrote a nice email and I explained my situation, and I sent it to them, but they do have a strong policy that for non-admitted students, it was what I am. So the way that you get into the Harvard Extension School, most people, 75% of people have families, and most everyone's older and have a lot of responsibilities, work full time, that if you get a B or higher on 3 classes, you can get admitted into the program. And so I I had this thought about writing them a letter for a grant or a scholarship. And one of the things, being a non-admitted student, that they don't offer grants and scholarships. I found that out, but also you can't get federal or state financial aid. So I learned that they have a strong policy, but I still sent the letter, the email to them, and they were like, well, thanks for telling your story. I've attached my book and actually attached a link to my podcast. They were saying, we really would suggest that you reach out to other, sources that could help. So, and me really living from my heart, I decided to bring this to my podcast. And I did speak about it last week. I actually had a little episode where I was sharing my journey with, living this dream out of going to Harvard. I really think it's a place that I need to be for people to meet. And plus, you know, I don't want to be fighting with people back and forth on Twitter or on Facebook. And I don't want to be extremely opinionated. Opinion to me is presenting your own thought, but a lot of it's uneducated. So I want to be an educated person, and I want to have a chance to refine, my ideals. And a lot of my life, we all have limited experiences, and we all haven't stood in the shoes of everyone else, but I want to develop, really unopinionated and unemotional, non-emotional. I don't want to be losing my cool on, Twitter or in person with people. And also, I'm going to look at all sides, but I do want to have a response or a position that I really have thought through well and has been refined with the help of other people. And that's a better response than I see currently in our society. Even with our culture, I don't believe our culture responds very well to the challenges of 2022. And I definitely don't see a good response from our government and our leaders in government. I'm not a politician, but I have lived for a while and I've had some experiences, and I care a lot about America and I care a lot about people. And I think there are different responses needed. So I want to go to the best of my ability, and with God's help and other people's help, I want to learn more about government. I don't know that much about that, but also I want to refine my position so I can help America and help other people. And lastly, I think that the struggle that it took for me to share my voice in my book, I can use that those characteristics that I had to develop to share my voice in other areas in my life, and area in my life that I would like to share that voice and use the strength, courage, and faith that I have developed, and I'm sure I have to develop more, is to be able to speak about America and about the problems that we see all the time, and different responses needed. And I want to be a part of presenting a different response. And I also want to be a part of the solution to a lot of these challenges. So I appreciate listening, and I appreciate if you can help me a couple of ways with the GoFundMe. You can donate. The amount I need for this fall semester is $3,600. It's $3,100 for the class. It's a 4-credit class. I need money for books. I figured about, I can't see from the bookstore how much it's going to cost, but I figured about $300. That's $3,400. But GoFundMe does charge like a 3% fee, so I calculated to be about $3,600. But any other additional money I received, I'm just going to use it for these 2 other classes I have to take at Harvard. After the 3 classes I was explaining, that I can apply for a grant or a scholarship from Harvard, and I look forward to doing my very best and trying my very best. And I'm looking forward to doing the best I possibly can. And but I do need to pay for these 3 classes, and once again, I do have strained finances because of some living life on life terms with things going on in my life. So you can donate. That would be wonderful. I think it's like $24 if 150 people donated to pay that $3,600. But if you can't donate, and many people can't, if you could share my GoFundMe link to other people in your in your social media connections, that would be wonderful too, because we're all here, we're all at where we are, and many people have very strained financial situations too. But you can help me in lots of ways. You can help me once again by donating, and you can also help me tremendously by sharing this GoFundMe request on social media. So I really appreciate you listening to what I got here, and I look forward to being able to use my voice to help America and help other people. And I look forward to being part of the solution. So thank you very much. Hey everyone, forgot to say something that's very important. It's actually the deadline, the full payment deadline for the course I'm taking this semester is August 15th. So I'm not able to pay the need the 3,600 altogether, but if I'm not able to pay the 3,100 for that course, then I'll be dropped from that course. And so I don't want that to happen. So if everyone, if you can donate, that would be wonderful. And once again, anything, $5, $10, $24, whatever you can would be great. If you can't, I understand that definitely. And if you could share this on social media, that would be perfect. But the deadline is August 15th. I just wanted to give you clarity about that. So you can help out as soon as possible in any way that you could, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.